Hello, and welcome to DCP SideQuest episode number 53. Once again, some interesting and crazy stuff has been going on. Very dark weekend in the gaming industry. But honestly, it's been going on for a long time. So it's more of a revelation of things coming to light that's been happening in the gaming industry. Finally, that's been needing to happen. So yeah, let's talk about it, guys.
It's crazy because it started with the Destiny community, right?
Yeah.
It started with Say No to Rage and our community that we are so close to. And now it has expanded to people being called out on Microsoft, Twitch, Amazon, Blizzard. It's everywhere. It feels like almost every company has had someone who did or does work there who has been called out for sexual harassment, sexual assault, making people feel uncomfortable,
Predatory behavior.
being predatory. And I can say that I started making content on YouTube like 9 years ago now. And when I've been invited to events, it's fairly common for women to just understand that, people are going to be flirtatious with you who hold positions of power. Like maybe they're a community manager and they are the one giving you opportunities that you're just going to have to kind of be like, oh, yeah, this is fine and kind of accept it. And I know the Mav Show put out a tweet about this and she said, every event I've been to, I've had to kind of just grin and bear the comments, the touching, the inappropriate behavior. And it's something that needs to change. It's this thing of this culture of, hey, we went to this event, say, Gamescom, TwitchCon, whatever it might be. Everyone goes to a bar after, everyone's drinking. There's people there who hold incredible positions of power. Like imagine you are a small creator, you just started to grow, and you get sent on this trip to the place that you've always wanted to go. And then you end up in this room with people who hold those opportunities that you just obtained. And they are flirting with you. They're making inappropriate comments. They're getting closer to you. What do you do? There's that thing of, I feel really uncomfortable. Can I speak out against this person who is the main person holding all these opportunities and this power? It's really gross.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of women who have come forward and men who have come forward about people who have used their power against them and made them feel uncomfortable, and even worse than that. And it's really awful and heartbreaking to see all of it, but I'm also really happy that they're finally able to speak out about it and hopefully start healing from what happened. And we know that this happened in Hollywood recently. Everything came out in the wrestling world about stuff like this, and we can't just ignore it anymore. It has to be a thing of, we can't let it die. The culture has to completely change. And the norm has to be that, if you see your buddy doing something inappropriate, you pull them aside and you're like, hey, don't do that. We don't accept that anymore.
Yeah.
And I really hope something changes.
Yeah, it needs to change because it's not just like, oh, suddenly we wake up and have a deep-rooted problem. It's like this has been going on. It's been going on for a while in the gaming community, especially because there's like a bro culture that's like a bro culture, toxicity, toxic masculinity that's kind of gets bred from the early stages of adolescence and then perpetuated with online stereotypes and or online interactions, and a lot of people just say, well, that's just gaming, well, that's, people are going to say that they're going to be banging your mom while you play Call of Duty. That's just how it is. It's like, you got to accept it. Like there's going to be some really awful things that are said. Well, guess what? I don't think you have to accept it. At a certain point, you have to draw the line and say, you know what? This is going to create psychological, sociological issues down the road for people and how they behave in communities. And you're seeing it right now. People grew up with extremely toxic behaviors online, and not all of them. I'm not saying everybody's grown up this way, but some of them broke from the pack and decided, hey, you know what? This is normal. I can be this way permanently, or, in my daily life, and be a toxic asshole that also decides to demean other people, That's not cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it might seem like it's not a big deal that you're in a a game with someone and then you hear a girl's voice or someone who sounds like they're from a different country or whatever it is, any voice that kind of shows like you are not of the norm. And you get that person's getting attacked and you're like, oh well, that's just how it is, it's how it's always been. But it doesn't just stop there, it perpetuates itself through everything to where people are now being in physical situations where they feel uncomfortable, and it's all a part of the same culture of like, just is women, and oh hey, what are you doing here? It's not okay, and it's so common. I think it's people are realizing how common it is.
Yeah,
it is
extremely
very common. If you speak to especially in very male dominated industries, and you speak to a woman that's been in there, you'll hear at least one story from them where they have felt uncomfortable and felt like they couldn't speak up about it.
No, it's like a status quo.
Yeah.
And it's important as well, like talking about this, just like the most important thing, for anyone that is kind of in the kind of wider circle is to listen to stories, because it's difficult to kind of come out and say that stuff. And like some people, it might be, there've been people that have been like, I'm shocked that it's X person. It's like I would never imagine it. It's like, yeah, you might not imagine it, but you need to listen, because if someone's putting themselves in, if someone's like stepping up and be like, this is not easy to say, but I need to say this, like people need to, you need to make sure you can elevate the right voices. Much like we kind of discussed previously with like the Black Lives Matter stuff, and we were like, need to elevate the voices when when people are speaking and stuff like this. That's the thing. And some people are like, how am I supposed to deal with this? Like, just listen and just make sure the right people are listening. It's just stupid. It's like ultimately, because all of us, we everyone wants to game in the same way, right? We play games because we enjoy it. Like, it should be a safe place for everyone. Like, you think back to before like online voice chat was a thing, and like the only gaming experience you had was I'm playing at my mate's house. So like, cool, we're among friends. Like, it should be like that. You go online. Like, why do people have to just be? It's mad. Yeah. It's mad.
Yeah, it comes down to like inequality thing, right? Like this. I feel like the Black Lives Matter event or movement exploding so much has also created the catalyst for all these things to come out in society to say, hey, inequality isn't just this one part. There is all kinds of inequalities that are happening in society right now. And it's come to a point where we're saying, you know what? Like, no, enough's enough. Enough of all this crap. Like, you have to stop and say, okay, why is someone treating the other person unequally? Like if your motivations are because you feel you're better, then it needs to be checked. And like I feel like a lot of this comes from those roots. Like they say, like what you were saying, like a woman gamer is going to get like just inappropriate stuff automatically, saying, oh, getting carried or sexual innuations and all that. It's like, it's because it's an inequality type of perspective, right?
And it's just seen as okay, and people don't speak up about it, and they're like, oh well, I don't want to speak out, and then I become a target. And it's like the whole culture has to change of it's actually the other way around, where if you're being a dick, you get called out, and that's not okay, instead of, oh, this person's being a dick, so I don't want to go in on them, I don't want to be a target, just forget it, it's fine. It has to be flipped. And at this point, I know people are like, well, what can we do? Where do we go from here? It's really everyone, I'm evaluating, I'm looking at how I talk to people, how I consume media. Am I listening to all sorts of opinions? Am I listening to different people? Am I listening to everyone's stories? It's just about looking at yourself and saying, what have I done in my past that maybe I've made someone uncomfortable? What did I do that made them uncomfortable? Can I make sure that I do not do that again? And just really trying to make the place better. We have to make people feel comfortable and safe and happy.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that hard to do that.
You shouldn't. For me, this is really, I really want to like self-evaluate, like you're saying. It's like, I really want to make sure that I'm not putting anybody in positions where they feel uncomfortable, like when we're at a con or when we're hanging out or whatever, like, I like it is like I had a conversation with my wife about this yesterday, and she's like, you just don't understand. You can go anywhere you want and not feel threatened at all times. And women have to always know that, there's always a threat of this. Always, wherever you go. And it's just fucking terrifying all the time. awful. I really hope some prosecution comes out of this too. Like, the stories of like people sharing underage girls on Discord servers and stuff, like that is illegal.
Yeah.
And that needs to stop
Very illegal.
immediately.
Yeah.
And I think the FBI and the police need to get involved in that right away.
Seriously.
That's fucking horrifying.
There's been so much else that has come out from this too. It's really been, it started as this calling out this one person, and it spread to not just, people speaking out about stories of harassment, but talking about DDoSing, doxing, toxicity, racism, all of that has been going on in the gaming community. A lot of the time in the same Discords that have been called out for sharing those pictures. It's really just seems like an overall taking out of the trash of the gaming community and having to just wipe it all clean and start again. Because, you're looking at things, DDoSing is a federal offense. Doxing someone, I was reading the comments of this big article that was posted online, and there's someone who was like, oh, I guess now I know who swatted me 2 years ago. Swatting can lead to people dying. It's not a joke, and it's not okay. And these people have been protected by, I totally understand that, people are scared to speak out against those that are swatting people and doxing them and all of that. Of course, it's terrifying, but we really need to make sure, again, that everyone feels comfortable and safe to talk about this, that they have support, that they're going to be protected, and make sure this doesn't keep happening to people.
Yeah, exactly. It needs to change, that's for sure. I think
the most important thing as well is to make sure that, like, because what often happens with this stuff as well is that, like, there's a lot of speak about it in a condensed period of time for like a week, but the most important thing is, like, this is going to take a long time to get past. Much like the same thing is, like, media coverage, for example, of like Black Lives Matter might have like suddenly died down, but this is very much still a present thing that's happening. This is something that, like, even if in like a week's time all the stories have gone out and people have suddenly stopped talking about it as actively, like, this is something that people need to be very aware of, like, everywhere, every time, because it's just it's just if we really want to make change, which we do, like, we want everyone just to feel equal and feel safe and feel comfortable, then this needs to be a continual discussion until that is the norm. Like,
exactly.
It should definitely be. If as it's like I was sort of saying pre-stream, like, if anything good can come of like the craziness that is 2020, if 2020 could be like a reset on stuff and we can get the trash out and then just start fresh in 2021 and like move towards the world we want, it'll be worth it.
Still got half a year left, Eric's.
There's
a lot of resetting to do.
We've got a lot of trash to get rid of.
We've got a lot of work to do. Yeah.
I feel like this is something that we can get to work on like right now, though. Like, if you got people like this in your community, just get rid of them. If your community is this, get out. Like, do not put up with it. Do not tolerate it. Discord servers, Twitter threads, like wherever you're seeing it, call it out, get out of there, get rid of the toxic people. Just don't associate with them. Don't allow them to associate with, and tell them why, because
that's the biggest thing right there. You got to call them out. These people will continue to do crap if they don't get called out, and being called out once probably isn't going to change much. But if they keep on getting cut off and called out for their bullshit, then eventually the message gets through, and then they have to make changes. And, people can grow and all that, but at the same time, people need to know when predatory behavior is happening. So we're not like suddenly dumbstruck by this stuff as a community. Like, that's the worst part. It's like all these things come out and it's like, what? So-and-so? It's like, it shouldn't be that way, that we're suddenly just dumbstruck by all this stuff,
Yeah.
They should have been called out.
We need to call people out at this point. We really do. And like you said, if they're in your community, call them out. Say, hey, that's not acceptable. We need to. It's all like we've been saying. It's all about changing the culture of don't protect them, call them out, and make sure they know it's not acceptable.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I knew about one of these, and I never said anything. I think I had heard about it like second or third hand while I was at the St. Jude event last year, and the thing had happened at the previous St. Jude event, and like I knew about it. I think I talked to Pope about it. I kind of with the conversation, like, how do we react to this? And we decided, well, we're never going to have this guy on the podcast anymore. but you can't really sing anything because like there's this not your story to tell thing.
True. Yeah.
And I've struggled with that a lot because it's not my story to tell, but like while I'm not telling, like I'm not saying anything about it, like what's happening, what's happening while I'm not saying anything.
We can touch on that. I think so. There's a thing of which is very difficult. If a victim talks to you about what they've gone through and they say, I'm not ready to come out and talk about it, you have to understand that when people come out and talk about this, especially if it's a big creator or an important person in a company, they are going to get death threats. They're going to get doxxed. They might get swatted. They're going to receive a lot of harassment. And when you're dealing with trauma and you're also looking at the possibility of going through all of that harassment on top of it, some people are not comfortable doing it yet. So when it comes to, say, DCP and having our platform, we have to think, okay, well, we definitely will not have them on our platform. We will not give them a voice. We won't give them attention ever again. But how do you then say, hey, I heard about this thing that happened with this person, and then people are like, well, where's the evidence? Why doesn't that victim talk about it? And you are forcing that person to then deal with all of that harassment and hate and trauma when they're not ready to. And I think, again, this is about changing the culture. We need to change the culture to where that person feels comfortable talking about it right away.
Yeah.
Knowing that, you might get some assholes. You're never going to get rid of them in the world. But the vast majority of people are going to support you and protect you.
Yeah.
Because the hate and the fear is what keeps people from talking out. You have this massive creator with this huge audience, and you don't want all of those people coming after you and telling you all of those things and being awful to you. And you're already going through trauma and you're being re-traumatized all over again. And you can't expect people to deal with that when they're not ready to. So I heard a story from a girl actually she has her story online and you can read it, but she was raped at an event and someone talked about it because she confided in them about it. She wasn't ready to talk about it. And they went public with it online, and it kind of forced her hand to speak about it, and it destroyed her.
That's awful.
She left streaming, her career, everything because of it. So you really have to think that, yes, it is awful that it can't be put forward and future people can't be protected from it happening, but you can't force victims to talk about trauma when they're not ready. We need to change the culture to where they feel comfortable coming forward and talking about it.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing right there, is changing the culture around it so people feel like they can call these people out and not feel like repercussions are going to happen to them in a traumatic way. Because that's, you can't, if it's not your story to tell, you cannot tell it to anybody. You have to operate with that knowledge, and like we did at DCP, cut that person out of any potential shows. And because once you start bringing something like that up, then it opens up the questions of like, well, what happened? Who, like, why are you acting this way? Like you have to guard that information if you're not the person and not ready to talk about it very specifically. And it's a tough balance, right?
It is. Yeah. And with all of this, that it has been across the internet. It's like the gaming community's Me Too movement. But also with it did empower other people to speak up about other issues. And one of them was being a Black person working at Microsoft. I don't know if you guys read this, but
I did. Yeah.
There was someone in a meeting talking about Mixer partners. And they used an analogy of, well, they're like my slaves and I'm the slave master.
She's the manager.
The manager.
Yeah. It's having this analogy.
And then apparently there was an internal investigation about it. And they said, oh, well, nothing we can really do. Absolutely insane. I don't know how this is okay. And apparently this meeting has actually been recorded. So there is proof that this happened because they record their meetings when they talk about this stuff.
How could you be that dense?
This person who told the story, went to HR and HR didn't do anything about it. Because you have to remember, HR is there to protect the company, not to protect you.
That's the lie of HR, right? It's like HR pretends to represent you, but that's not their job. Their job is to protect the company.
Yep.
Yeah.
So people were like, hey, Mixer, what are you going to do about it? Well, Mixer is dying on July 22nd.
Yeah, so that's the other giant bomb of, well, I mean, that just happened recently. They dropped an announcement within hours of the show that said that Mixer is officially getting absorbed by Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
Some weird, like, transference of technology and amalgamation over to Facebook. I was like, okay, shutting down Mixer is one thing, but then, like, Facebook is acquiring it? I was like, huh? This is strange. And they didn't even tell their partnered streamers. All that they told was the contracted streamers, like Goth, the Shroud, and Ninja. Like, they got news of this earlier, apparently. This is all conjecture, but apparently they had wind of this beforehand. And then actual Mixer partners were basically finding out about it from other people reading the news and saying, oh my God, what's happening to your channel? And they're like, huh? What do you mean?
Yeah, there's pictures being posted on Twitter of people sitting there, Mixer streams talking to their community, and they're crying. They had no idea. They've built this community on Mixer. They had no prior warning of, hey, make sure that you get your pages set up on whether you want to go to Facebook or you want to go to Twitch, wherever you want to go, get things ready, be prepared, talk about your community. They absolutely nothing. It was just a bomb that was dropped on them, and that is inexcusable. That's disgusting. You can't treat people like that.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah, that's slimy.
Yeah, like zero warning at all. It's just like it's just super unprofessional. I mean, like, it'd be one thing if it was like, oh, like if the whole concept of making it a job wasn't a thing, and it's just like, it's something you do as a hobby, like playing a video game on a server, and they're like, sorry guys, server's being shut down. It's like,
right.
Oh well, I guess I'll go find a new game. It's like, no, this is like, I mean, as much as people online might like to say, get a real job, like it is a real job, right? This is people's livelihoods. It's just like to be like, by the way, you have a month to migrate your, and we, and people, I think a lot of people don't even realize that if you don't do things in the creation space, people forget. It's like, you may have built up an audience who may tune into you every single day, but a lot of people are, and I mean this in a kind of a respectful way, but when a lot of people they're tied to their platform, but the concept of moving platform, a lot of people won't necessarily always do. So like, you might be like on a YouTube channel and have like 5 million subscribers and be like, hey guys, I just made a new channel to talk about my cooking, and people will be like, okay, cool. And you think, oh, my 5 million guys are going to jump over this. Like, no, you'll probably get like a percentage of that, like 5,000 people might be like, cool, out of goodwill, I've swapped over. People don't just migrate one for one. So it's not even just a case of I could just pick up and just suddenly create a Twitch channel tomorrow and we'll be back on our feet. It's like, that's tough. That's tough. I mean, to build anything in any of these spaces, Twitch, Mixer, YouTube, anything, it takes grind. So
there was a community over there too. Like when I've been to like cons and to events, you can see the Mixer people, and they're representing hard, and they're proud to be on Mixer because they felt like a small group of underdogs that were all sticking together, and like they
technically they were
like
too.
That just
the numbers in the streaming sphere, it's like they are the underdogs,
Yeah, it's to me, even though I wasn't part of that community, it's gonna be sad to see that break up, because they were proud. There was strength in their like kind of love for each other, I felt like, and that's
well, it's also really because it's like they always say, like, competition breeds excellence, right? And like, I know Twitch as a platform is definitely not in any way perfect, right? But it's like, but Mixer did a lot of things. They had like a lot of features that were people actually quite liked. And people sometimes, while Mixer wasn't perfect, sometimes people would look to Mixer and be like, oh, I wish Twitch would do this kind of thing. And then, you think to yourself, and while Mixer was not comparable in size, it's like by having someone in the space that's doing that, suddenly it kind of puts the pressure on like another platform. But then with it gone, it's like, I mean, people are, respectfully, people are not going to look at Facebook in the same way because it doesn't have the same. I saw a post from like a community manager say who's just sort of like, just one thing for people to know if they're moving to Facebook. Like Facebook doesn't have all the same numbers and tools. So if you're doing things with like companies and stuff, it's a lot harder to report that stuff. So it's quite hard to kind of spin sponsorship deals and stuff with that, which is obviously important.
Also, I deleted my Facebook account like 10 years ago because I didn't trust them then.
I know.
Like
right?
I was terrified of them then, and I think they're worse now.
Yeah. So it's tough.
We've heard, Geek Chick is someone who went to Facebook and then she came to Twitch, a couple months ago, back to Twitch, and she's written about her experience of Facebook, and she was treated really poorly. And this is everywhere. This is like every company. Everyone has had a story of them being treated like absolute garbage. But it's so sad to see that people have built up communities and they were just dropped. I mean, imagine being told, any of us, like, hey, YouTube shutting down, Twitch shutting down, go, you got to go over here. It would be devastating.
Vimeo, go sign up on Vimeo.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
There's been like efforts to get like YouTube kind of competitors going, and it's just so hard because YouTube not only owns YouTube, but Google owns the search engine that gets you to find the videos that you're looking for. So like it's pretty hard when like Google is the biggest search engine in the world and you're trying to like advertise videos. Well, of course Google's going to send you to YouTube, not to some competing player.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I just want to be like, hey, if you're on Mixer and you're part of, we're part of the Destiny community, if you're going to Twitch, I would love to know who you are. I want to follow you. I want to get to know your community. We can build you guys up on Twitch.
Yeah, especially if you're not a sexual predator.
That would be ideal.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, exactly.
We're getting a lot of people out of the community. If we could get some awesome new people in, that would be fantastic.
And hey, if you are a sexual predator, maybe go pound sand. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope the FBI comes and pounds on your door, frankly.
I hope so.
That BSK server stuff, like I honestly, like I am so hesitant to ever like have young people get arrested and like ruin their lives for mistakes that young people make. But man, this stuff is awful.
That's some heinous stuff.
Vile.
Man.
Yeah.
There comes a point where you're like, everyone's been young, everyone's been uninformed, but I think we all at 16, 17, 18 knew that posting underage girls' pictures in Discords that they shared with you is not good. I think we all know that's not a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, Discord didn't not exist when I was that age, but we knew not to share child pornography.
Right.
That's not new.
It's not new.
It would have been a red flag.
That's always been illegal.
Yeah, that would have been a red flag regardless,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. That's some god-awful stuff. And I mean,
that's pedophiles.
Yeah, exactly. They made their bed and they're going to have to lie in it. And I hope that they have some sort of legal repercussion happen for that stuff because it's awful.
Yeah, it's really awful. And, there's some good points being made in chat where the OPG group, which was a management company for content creators, came out that someone, his name is Omid, has been really awful towards women. So a lot of people who were represented by that company, that management company, they have now left as well. So imagine you're a Mixer streamer, you were part of that group, you're being kicked off of Mixer, and now you don't have a management firm to represent you. Omid is their CEO. So yes, it's a big deal. There's
so many tweets. So many tweets of the weekend.
Don't be an asshole.
I've decided after thinking for a long time, I'm ending my relationship with OPG. Just one after the other.
One after the other.
Yeah. It's being like
everyone's left.
Yeah, that's wild, man.
Someone raised a good point. I think someone sort of tweeted, like, I don't know the specifics of it, but someone sort of said that like it's not just him, but like his family owns the things. So by him saying I'm stepping down by CEO, he's not saying I'm shutting down the company. I think he put out a tweet to basically say, it was me that did the bad things. Like, please don't don't kind of make the company suffer because there's people that work there, and obviously you respect people who do work there. But it's also a bit of like an underhanded thing. It's like, I'm going to step down as CEO. By the way, I'm still going to get money for this under the table. It's like, basically, you're just announcing early retirement. Like, that's not really an apology. The apology should be, I've messed up. This company's gone. Like,
yeah, exactly. Crazy, right? Crazy stuff. There's other things to talk about, obviously, but like Twitch also has, there's things in Twitch and Twitch management not following through and looking into things and persecuting, and just, it's not just what I'm trying to say is not every there isn't one platform that's like, oh, well, this platform's okay. It's like permeated in all these platforms. It's crazy, right? This culture,
yeah.
It needs to be looked at. It needs to be rectified. It needs to be it needs to be rooted out, man.
It's heartbreaking to read all of these stories, but I really do recommend reading all of them. There's a couple threads on Twitter that are posting as many as they can find and putting it in one big thread so you can read it all. It's hard to just sit there and read it and all of these stories from these women. But I think it is important to read it. It is heartbreaking, but hopefully from their pain and their suffering and any trauma that's happened, real change can happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that if there is some douchebags out there in other communities and going around doing bad things, that we immediately call them out and they get pushed out of any job and any community, because it's not acceptable. We can't let this keep happening. If you are affected by their stories and you are devastated about their stories, you should want to push for change.
Exactly. I mean, this literally goes back to Black Lives Matter. You can't just stand by and watch awful things happening and people being treated like trash. It's not cool. You have to speak up.
If you see a big hole around a content creator too, you just like no other content creators want to mess with this person. There's probably a reason for that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Man, it sucks.
Yep.
It does suck.
It does suck. Should we talk about other things on the show?
We want to talk about a very positive and inspiring game, Last of Us, that is great to play during all of.
Yeah. We want to talk about a lighthearted story about
not really
loss and love.
I bought the game on Friday. I pre-ordered the game and went over to Best Buy and bought it. And I was, Friday was a good day, right? We did our charity marathon on Friday.
Let's go into that first.
Yes.
Let's cleanse the palate.
It was awesome. Like we raised 60-something thousand.
Over 62 grand.
For St. Jude Children's Hospital. And it was a great day. But then, the stuff started happening on Twitter, and man,
as we were streaming
The Last of Us.
As we were streaming, it was all
I didn't know about it until afterward, but
I saw it maybe, I think it was 2.5 hours or so into our block.
Lono got banned.
Things happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lono and Sano Rage, the names got banned in the chat, and I was like,
yep.
What's going on? Yeah.
Yeah. And a total of $6 million was raised from this charity stream.
Yes.
It's amazing.
$6 million.
$6 million is incredible.
It's kind of poetic in a weird and disturbing way, and that we're raising money for such an awesome cause, and all of these amazing people in the gaming community are here saving lives and making a change, and at the same time it's being outed for being just the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
It's this is the good that gaming can do, right? And we need to make sure that the gaming good, the good game of goods is what the whole gaming community is. So good job, guys. If you donated to that at all, thank you so much. You really are making a huge difference.
Yeah.
And our block was a lot of fun.
What are we doing? What was the final for me, I have to stream Dream Daddy with a pink beard.
What the hell?
Can we get some glitter on that beard? Bedazzled beard?
Bedazzle, I don't know. A glitter. Wait, does glitter come out? How long does glitter stay in?
I mean, if you have a beard, it takes forever. You think it's gone?
No, real quick, easy in, easy out. A little bit of head and shoulders in there. You're good.
I'm gonna be ordering my oat milk latte, and someone's gonna be like, "Is that glitter?" And you'd be like,
no. Why is your beard so shiny? I can see.
I moisturize very well.
Yeah.
Damn right, it's glitter.
I'm also I'm gonna be hosting a DCP episode as Alf. at some point.
That's gonna be. I assume that's gonna be our cosplay episode. So we
Yes.
don't know what
Yeah,
others
yeah,
are doing.
yeah.
I'll probably do my Mitsuri cosplay during then, because why not?
Sure.
Sure.
It's great.
I told my mom that I'm gonna get my hair cut and dyed to be like this anime character, and she was like, okay. And I was like, it means having bangs, and she's like, don't do it, dear God, don't do it.
Oh no.
So
Do they make like temporary bangs? Can you do that?
so if it's really bad, we'll just clip it up with a clip. No one will ever see it again, and we'll forget it ever happened.
Oh dear.
Oh man.
I'm gonna
And
have
we
to
need
find
to
something good. You guys are
do-
bringing the heat, so I'm gonna have to find something good.
Oh yeah, you gotta get planning, Bray.
Yeah.
And we have a raid-a-thon with all of us
Yes.
being warlocks and complimenting them.
Oh, horrendous. That sounds
It's
horrible.
gonna be a tough one.
Exactly.
Worst class in the
No,
game. Like,
I'd rather dye my beard pink.
you probably have more luck just playing as a Titan with no gun. You were a warlock.
I don't know if it's possible, to be honest with you. We might have to have some kind of like swear jar system. So when one of us messes up, we can just put $1
We
in the
donate
swear
to
jar.
St. Jude.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do. If anyone says anything bad, like "oh, stupid warlock jump," it's
Yeah.
gotta going straight to St. Jude.
You better be ready to donate hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'd set foot in the race.
Our
straight away,
stream is
like,
only 10 minutes long because we all run out of money.
You're like, we're broke. We're broke. And now
Amazing.
we're playing stinking warlocks again. Oh dear.
Was there anything else on the big ticket stuff? Because we missed our stretch goal.
We're doing.
That's all, right?
We're doing. We just missed this stretch goal. We're doing a Jackbox Games where we all get incredibly drunk and be incredibly offensive.
I'm looking forward to that.
That's easy.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I've been wanting to play.
It's a Friday night.
I've been wanting to play the Jackbox games with you guys for like a couple years at this point. I think
It's
that's gonna be
gonna be
amazing.
great.
Yeah.
I'm
What
hoping
is
we
this?
can.
Is this a US custom? What is a Jackbox game?
It's a
It's
video
like
game.
party games. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a party game
Yeah,
on
it's a video
Steam. Only one person needs to buy it, and then they can just like
Oh, the theme song.
post it. The theme song is
That's
happening.
right.
Yeah, but it's things like you'll write jokes using each other's words that people have thought up. You're guessing like who is
Okay.
the alien on a ship and stuff. It's just party games
Oh,
and
cool.
being drunk.
That's gonna be fun.
funny.
I'm definitely looking forward
It's
to
gonna
that.
be a lot of fun.
And
Yeah.
and I'm officially for real,
Yeah.
absolutely gonna make a DCP live theme song. We didn't talk about SideQuest. Maybe SideQuest will get one too. I don't know. We'll see.
SideQuest
Ooh.
needs a custom jingle.
It just needs a
That's-
jingle of SideQuest complete. We need a
Yeah,
SideQuest
yeah.
complete jingle for
I
sure.
feel like we need two. I feel like we should start beginning SideQuest with like we've accepted a quest, so it's like mission start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know how like when you go on a quest
When
on
you-
Monster Hunter, it's like
Mhm.
doo-doo, and then when you finish, it's like I can't remember what it is. I should know this. I'm
like
like a
the-
Monster Hunter fan. I can't
It's the
remember.
sound, what's the sound that Link holds up?
Do 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 do. Yeah.
There you go.
Can we sample Briar's laugh in this song?
Mm,
Just the giggle.
maybe. Yeah. That's a possibility.
That'd be
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh,
So-
and we have to play Trials on PS4.
Oh, I
Oh,
blacked
right,
that
I
one
forgot
out.
about that one.
Completely blacked that out of my memory. Yeah. Same thing with the Warlock one.
I actually decided I'm going to set up the stream in my living room for that. So my whole family gets to see my embarrassment live.
Nice.
Oh, great.
Amazing.
And you make them
show them
nauseous.
their live
That's what a PS4
reactions.
is.
Yeah. You'll also make them nauseous as well in the 30 FPS, 75 field of view.
So actually during our DCP block, we had to change our FPS to 30. It was not that bad. It's the freaking FOV, man.
It's the field of
The
view.
FOV is what is puke and vomiting.
So
puke and vomiting. Yes,
two
that's
things.
what it
Yeah. The field of view made me slightly nauseous. And then we also had the challenge of going southpaw where you reverse the right and left stick.
That was tough.
I had no idea what that was
Southpaw's
before.
impossible.
My brain was trying to make the swap. And I actually got nauseous from it for a little bit there. I was like, oh my God, I'm having a physical response to this right now. Like, Because it's like my thumbs were trying to do something that is so normal to me right now, but I was getting a completely different response in the middle of combat. And it was like making my stomach flip. Oh my God. It was crazy.
If you're out there and you play Southpaw, please let me know. I want to know who does this.
There's some people in
I
chat
think
who are
are
saying
you?
it's still legacy from GoldenEye, isn't it? Like the Southpaw, because with GoldenEye, you aimed with the left stick and you moved with the right C buttons.
Oh, they might be
On the
left-handed. I apologize.
N64.
yeah, there's people left-handed actually use this Southpaw.
I don't think that's
Almost-
what it's
almost
for, though.
left-handed. No, I think it's just like an old school layout, right? And if you,
Yeah,
you just never
it's
changed.
from GoldenEye.
It is so weird trying to like adapt to different controls. It's
is.
almost like you remember back in like the capture days before like Elgato released the zero delay one. You know where it used to be there would be like a 4-second delay, and you'd occasionally just try to play on it just to be like, can I just move down a menu? And you're just like,
No.
hey,
Yeah.
no, I can't do it.
There were videos of people doing gameplay of like a challenge of them playing Call of Duty through the capture cards.
Oh my gosh.
I've tried to do that. It's awful.
It's terrible.
I actually have. You guys remember this old boy?
Yeah.
I still have one of those.
Yep.
A 60, HD
I
60.
remember that. Good old.
Yeah. I was going through all my old capture cards trying to find one that could do 1280 by 1024.
Okay.
Oh.
None of them can.
Not surprised.
Not supported. Yeah.
Not supported.
So that charity block, amazing. Congratulations, GCX, and shout
Thank
out to
you,
everyone
everybody.
who participated,
were
whether you retweeted, posted a tweet, said something about it, or donated, all that stuff. Thank you so much. Incredible time.
Absolutely.
Now let's talk about some really uplifting, exciting, like I said, loss and love video game of The Last of Us 2.
I've been watching you play. I'm not playing myself. Because, it's basically a movie anyway. So me watching Tufty play is like I'm just getting the movie experience.
It's basically a movie, yeah.
True. I think it's important.
Someday I'm
going
gonna sell a unopened box copy of that game for a very high dollars.
I was saying, I think it's important just to say to people we're not discussing spoiler territory this week. So if you're listening right now, and you're like, what are you going to say? We're like, not everyone's finished it anyway. So spoiler talk will probably be next week. We'll probably talk about some like early impressions. So I would say it's safe.
No spoilers.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers for this discussion. This is going to be, I guess, first take experience. Although, Eric, you finished it, right?
I have,
Spoiler,
yes,
everything is awful.
The tone is dark.
Controversial. I enjoyed it.
Did you really?
This is when Briar uses Jar Jar against you.
It's true. It's funny. Like, obviously, I can't go into the specifics of why until we can discuss next week because there's more stuff I want to speak about. But just like loosely speaking, I went through like a conflicted period where like I played through it, I enjoyed it. Like, because the thing is, as I've said to people before, for me, when it comes to games for me, I have a very simple system for my rating. It's like, did I have fun? Did I enjoy it? Cool. It was a good game. Like, I'm not a game reviewer. I'm not going to be like, it was the best story I've ever had. The graphics are perfect. There was zero artifacting in this very particular animation. They used like the special RTX algebra Pythagoras theorem. I don't care about the stuff, right? I'm just like, was the game fun? Did I enjoy my time? Yeah.
DF Retro just called. They want you now.
I mean,
Digital Foundry's on the phone. They're like, Pythagoras theorem, get him on the phone, quick.
You noticed the artifacting?
I know this. It's like live calculations, but yeah, that's the thing. Like, so often when people are like, oh, but like, how does it rate? It's like I don't even. A lot of the time when I can play games, I don't even like rate them back like versus like other things. I'm just like, I just look at it in isolation. I play games to have fun. There were some frustrating parts. There were some parts that I was marginally conflicted. Was it, in my opinion, as good as Last of Us 1? I think I still prefer Last of Us 1, but I still enjoyed the game. I thought it was great. I don't think all the hate was justified. There was some interesting choices.
Is there a lot of hate for the game? I honestly haven't paid any attention to reviews.
There's a lot of hate for the game, but and like this is the thing. It's a weird thing to navigate because I don't want to. There is some legitimate hate for the game where I understand why people don't like certain aspects of it, but then there is also the unnecessary hate where people are like, I don't like that Ellie's a lesbian, or I don't like that you have to play as. Never mind. There's some stuff. There's some stuff in the game where people are just like, I don't like this. And it's like some of it I get because I'm just like, there's something that's quite different to what you experienced in the first game. I'm trying to dance around this topic, But then some of it is just like you're just being an angry nerd in a basement who just doesn't like it because it's just like a topic you don't like because you're not playing as Gears of War muscular man who can then chainsaw someone's head off, basically. Right.
But
So
those games
there are two
exist.
camps.
I never understand that. Those games exist. You can have those too. Like,
yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, people forget. It's like there are thousands of games like that. Like these games are like you know a few and far between. But yeah, I enjoyed it. But yeah, so that's my sort of roundabout.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been hard to actually find a place to just read reviews because it's been getting review bombed so much. And I've been really interested in having people's like genuine opinion about what they thought about the game, but it's been really hard to find. So I've had to just listen to, you know, like individual reviewers' videos or their articles to get an opinion on stuff. And it's pretty split, it seems like, in terms of how much people enjoy it.
Yeah, there's definitely some split stuff. On the review bomb topic, I think I read something about how like God of War had somewhere around 12,000, 13,000 reviews like today on Metacritic. It was something like that. And Last of Us 2 already had like 14,000 or 15,000 reviews. It just came out.
Yeah.
And it was like,
oh, wow.
it's some of them were like, you know, great game, awful game or whatever. Like it's basically the two extremes, 0 rating or a 10 rating. And the game came out an hour later, like completed it, you know,
right,
10 out of 10 or something like that. So clearly some fishy stuff is going on, which also leads to the fact that they need to have some actual checking of ownership for this stuff somehow in order to do a review on Metacritic, and to legitimize some of that stuff. It needs to be curated to a bit to where you can verify ownership that you actually played the game and have it or whatever. But
yeah, people were just angry across the board, right? Because I mean, it's like you know how like if you upload videos on YouTube, you know they've got this new thing where it's like, oh, it's not new, it's been around for like a while now. Where it's like you get like a percentage number that sort of shows your like dislike rating, right? Like you know, generally speaking, and this I've seen like across the board for like most channels, like anyone that does reviews, other stuff, and also we did it as well. We uploaded just some gameplays from the very beginning of the game. Something super simple. Like most of our videos are like 96-97% like dislikes, so you know it's just generally quite positive. This was 68%. That's a red number. People were just like, I hate it. It's like, okay, man, okay, you know. But it's crazy. It's crazy because a lot of people saw those leaks before, and I'm just like, I don't. And again, I completely get, because I never want to generalize. So like I get that there are countless people that have legitimate gripes with the game, but then there's some people that are just like, I haven't played it. I read the leaks, and that tells you a segment of the story, which actually in reality makes up probably about 90 minutes of, and the game on average, you're looking at around 25 hours. I did it in 18, but like if you're doing some like exploring stuff, like you're looking at 25. Like the leaks apparently make up of, I think, I haven't looked at them myself, but people have said it makes up about sort of 90 minutes of the game. So it's not even a huge chunk of it, but you've decided on the leaks alone that a series that you've been looking forward to for a very long time, you're going to completely discount and say it's terrible when you haven't actually played it.
Yeah.
Like,
makes no sense, right?
It just seems kind of crazy to me. But yeah,
let me ask you guys a question, because you guys, Eric, you finished it, and Tefty, you're what, 8 hours into it?
So yeah, I'm about halfway through the game so far right now.
Okay, so you're about halfway through. One of the first game was oppressive, but there was always the hope, right? That like you know, Ellie and damn, what's his name? Joel were traveling, and there was a goal and there was hope, right? At the end of the journey, there was hope. There was a light at the end of the tunnel. I don't get that impression from this game's story. Am I getting the right impression? Like, this is much darker.
Yeah. So on a just, I don't think this is really like spoilery, but it's basically a revenge story. You know, like the tone is set up to be revenge for events that take place. And yeah, like I think that's part of my criticism with it so far, is that the story beats are forced to a degree. Like I like the characters, I like the voice acting, and I like the dialogue that's in between. But the large arcing story beats seem to be forced for for the reason that this is happening. And
yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like the original had this the setup that made you feel like, okay, I can get behind this crazy circumstance and why these are happening to reach that end goal that happened in Last of Us 1. In this one, it was like, well, we need more Last of Us, and we still have to be in the same universe. So let's make some revenge arcs happen. And that's like the the impression I get from halfway through, because my perspective on it, I'm definitely enjoying the game. I'm like Eric's though. Like video games are generally good. They're fun. Like I enjoyed the first 50 hours of Anthem, and people give me shit about it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I had fun. What can I say? I flew around, blew stuff
did too,
up.
man.
Come on, like,
Yeah.
like it's a video game. It was fun flying around doing that stuff. So like I can see the qualities in these games, and this game has a ton of polish. I'm talking a ton of polish. Like the animations alone are insanely good. Then you have texture maps, all the environment art, the ambience, the when you put the gun on the crafting table and she pulls out all the stuff and the sounds, like it is extremely visceral. Like her moving all the stuff.
They did really good on all of that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, the lighting, texture maps, sound design, animations, like this is some incredible top-notch type of stuff right here. And the voice acting, I think the voice acting is great. And again, like the dialogues that happen back and forth, I think those are all awesome. And I actually enjoy the combat too. I've been playing on Survivor for the first 6 or 7 hours. I played it all on Survivor.
Hard mode?
Yeah, that's the hardest you can do in there. The AI is actually pretty smart. Somebody had said it's like Division hunters when you're playing against humans.
Wow. Okay.
And I think that's actually pretty accurate. They will flank you in ways that you don't expect, and they will be pretty quick. And it creates a really nice heightened sense of, oh, I'm not safe in any angle. I have to be on top of it. The next day, though, I went into the settings. Someone had mentioned, I think it was French Toast in my chat, had mentioned that you can actually adjust the resource economy from Survivor to lower, so you get more bullets. Because one thing that happens with the Survivor mode is everything becomes scarce in terms of resources, so you hardly have any bullets to shoot. Or when you do find a bullet, it's one bullet. Here's one bullet. It's like, oh, okay. So that's another aspect that's really cool, is that you basically have 5 dimensions of difficulty that you can adjust. It's not just going from easy, medium, or hard, or whatever. Like you can go in enemy AI, you can adjust their difficulty. You can adjust your helper AI, how dumb or fantastic they are. Like they could be incredibly good if you lower. Yeah.
There's a lot of settings. I saw a video that was specifically about the settings, and just when they were streaming it, they were just trying it out and seeing what it was like, and they turned your like sneakiness level up or something, and it made it to where if you're crawling, you can crawl right next to the AI and they have no idea. So it's just going around like, I'm a sneaky snake. Snake, just crawling around everywhere.
I may turn that on. Hilarious. I am so bad at stealth games. It's comical.
Oh, dude.
Well, if you put like the resources down to like where they're free, you'll get a lot of bullets. So you can use bullets all the time and play it that way. Which
one thing that this game has taught me, right, is that like, I mean, I kind of knew this already, but like, I'm not very good at shooting games, right? Like, and here's the thing, Last of Us was a trip for me, right? Because I know they're not zombies, but I don't like zombies. I don't like these kind of things. Clickers I hate even more than zombies because they're just hella creepy. Yeah. I don't like that. That's stressful enough as it is. I'm bad at shooting. I've always got no ammo. So every time it's like, right, there's a situation here. You got 3 bullets. You got to make them count. I need to miss 3 bullets before I can hit. I'm just
this sounds like just the game for you.
That's why I finished the game so fast, because a lot of places I was like, you know what? So this cool thing, because obviously you can do the stealth stuff. The one thing I am good at, I like stealth games. I play a lot of Hitman and stuff like that, so I like a lot of like stealthy kind of things. So my approach to most things was, I don't actually need to kill anything here. Let me get this brick, throw it in the corner. They all rush over there. I'm going to rush that door, hold triangle on the door. By the time they've realized I'm there and they're running towards me, I'm through the door. I'm like, this is great. I swear I killed very few people. It was basically a passive playthrough, because unless I had to kill someone, I was out of it. It was great.
I will say, looking at these games, Tefty, when I'm seeing you play it, I'm like, this is almost too real and I don't like this. So I was like, okay, as we're progressing into better and better graphics, maybe we just turn all games to be super anime games, and we
Mhm.
stay
What?
away from the super
You just
realistic.
come on over to my house.
Too
I got
much.
the SNES hooked up.
There we go.
We'll play some Super Mario.
back in
We'll
time.
laugh. We'll have a good time.
So
I was like, oh,
that's
this person's face is so real.
yeah.
I just
That-
downloaded Monster World for the Switch.
So-
It's very
perfect.
colorful.
The realism in the game is also one of those things I think can polarize people because they
Yeah.
it's very glorified violence. You know, like there's this like heartwarming real story being told, and amidst all that, there's some pretty extreme violence that like I think will turn off a lot of people. It'll kind of be like, oh, you know
Some of
what?
the sound design as well. It's just
You
a bit
know
like,
what? Too much.
yeah, it's
You're gone
yeah,
too
it's-
far. I want to shoot people, but
definitely.
not real looking people.
Yeah, you know.
This game is right up my alley. Like any other time, but right now I just can't. I cannot deal
Yeah.
You need
with
something
like
happy
more.
right now.
I just like literally
this-
all I want right now are like happy moods.
Yeah, you know, this game did make me realize though. It made me realize, especially there wasn't as much in it, but especially in some of like the exploration parts, it made me realize I was like, I really want another Uncharted, because like I was
Yeah.
because I was thinking like when I was playing through and I was getting super stressed with the zombies, I was like, I need a break. But then there was like a short break where I got to like I don't know throw a rope over somewhere and swing across. I was like, you know what? Give me this, but
Yeah.
Uncharted. So I'm not being chased by zombies. I don't fear for my life, and the biggest danger is potentially some archaic boulder that might come out of a tomb because I've tripped a lever and I've got to run for my life away from a boulder in Indiana Jones way. That I can deal with. That's pressure that I can deal with. It's not.
Yeah, you just you're scoping down a rifle with Nathan Drake. You pop someone in the head, and their brains splat over the wall. That's all. It's
It's
just
fine. It's fine. Yeah. So that. Yeah, no,
simpler times.
Exactly. It's simpler times. Simple. And then you pick up the bit, but it's okay because you then go and pick up the gold afterwards, right? And you're like, I got it. Look at this.
You're the hero. You killed
Wyatt
30
still has
people,
hot
but you're the
sauce in
hero.
his eyes.
Last night, the wife and I watched Goonies because we just couldn't take anything.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I was gonna start
Uh,
a thread of like, hey, what are some things that you guys watch to just be like, I just want to laugh. And-
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, a
Uh,
great movie. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just going to wrap up the Last of Us 2 discussion. So I am only halfway through, and I have been enjoying the game. But my biggest criticism so far is the large arcs of story. You know, that's everything else has been like a masterclass in lovingly crafting a game.
What do
Yeah.
you mean by that? I'm not clear.
The large arcs being the like forced revenge
Okay.
narrative that's going on as to why the events are taking place. Like you said, like in the first Last of Us, there was this reason why things had to happen, and you're like, well, okay, I'm gonna buy this because these things have to take place because we got to get to this end goal, and they've made a revenge arc on it, and like I don't know, in a post-apocalyptic setting like that, where it's already been bad for years, like some of it stretches a bit too much, and you're like, well, or things line up a little too perfectly, and you're also like, well.
Yeah, true. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
It's definitely there were definitely a few parts that did feel like that. I think that's also partly why I ran through a lot of encounters because I just wanted to get to the next story beat. It's kind of something that, to a degree, Uncharted 3 suffered from because I love Uncharted. Like, Uncharted 2 is one of my favorite games. But then Uncharted 3 had this weird section where like there were lots of times where I wanted to experience the story and there were just unnecessary, like, here's another gunfight. I was like, you kind of didn't necessarily want that. There were a few parts in Last of Us where I was like, yeah, I mean, I was chatting to my friend this morning. He was like, it probably would have benefited from just like being a 16-hour game. Like, just that would have been a good time frame for it. But there is something that we'll wait until next week to discuss when we have like a spoiler chat. That I didn't see it this way until I was chatting to someone today. And then when they said it this way, I was like, actually, it's quite a good point. And it kind of almost validates some of the frustrations you get by the parts right now where you're like, this is annoying. But then when you look at it in a different way afterwards, you're like, actually, I understand why now. So yeah, we'll have that discussion.
I love the dancing around sports. I was talking to a friend about a thing in this one time in the situation, and then he said the thing about the thing, and I was like, oh my god, the thing is totally different. And
but not that thing.
Great.
This thing, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the other thing.
Yeah.
We're on the same page. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Definitely.
Thing.
Yeah. So Last of Us 2, yeah, we'll have a spoiler talk next week. So if you don't want any spoilers, like we'll always preface it and say when we're going into spoiler talk on the show. But next week is when we'll actually go into maybe some more spoiler stuff. And Briar will reveal that he's yet to play it and doesn't plan on playing it.
Did we?
I'm sure it'll come
talk-
out on
we-
PS5.
True. Did we say that Cyberpunk was delayed? We haven't talked about that. But that was
yeah.
when was that? Recently, I don't know.
It was announced, I think, last Friday.
Been a long
Friday.
weekend.
Friday. It's now in
Long
November, which
weekend.
basically, yeah, true. Which basically means that they've delayed it to when the next gen consoles are rumored to be coming out. Because a lot of the time people were thinking it might come out before, and then you'll get your post gen upgrade. I think basically they just want to be in a position where you can then say, "Hey, here's a launch value proposition. You can buy a PS5 and you can buy Cyberpunk or an Xbox Series X." And you can buy Cyberpunk, so I think that's the thing. But
will
I'm
the
happy
game
to
ever
wait.
come out? Find out next week.
Yeah, will it get delayed again into 2021? Maybe Cyberpunk is be like, you know what, 2020 had enough of you. We don't want to be tarnished with the name of 2020. We want to be 2021.
When they look at
actually-
the history books, we want it to just be like Cyberpunk was a great game. That's all that happened that year. Cyberpunk was great.
And then we're like, you know what? Actually, since we waited till 2021, we might as well just wait till 2077 because then we're in the right time for the game, right?
Yeah.
I won't mind waiting a little bit longer.
Cybernetic connections to, you experience it in your brain. It's great.
Exactly. But by that time, they can download the game into their mind. It'd be great.
Beautiful.
Stick a USB back in your back of your neck. Like, yes, I'm in Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
You'll be the punk.
Yeah. Like you have to have 5 petabytes in your brain to hold all that information in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Johnny Mnemonic.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm not surprised. And also, it helps with organizing some of the titles because I was worried about it being butted right up against the new Destiny release. Like basically 5 days to play a massive game of Cyberpunk and then play Destiny. That was going to be a hard
feeling
one.
like I have to rush, man.
Oh,
it's the worst feeling. 'Cause I'm like, I want to do all the side missions. Like, oh, this person looks interesting. I want to do their side quest. And then it's like, oh, I can't do that because I got to go fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to get up and pee, but I can't because we got.
You don't have time to go pee.
Yep, it's true.
Time. There's no time to pee.
Exactly.
No peeing.
So yeah, that happened. What else? We're running up towards the end of the show here. I
played Rocket Arena last week. Oh, sorry, you go.
I was gonna say there was some non-gaming news about Apple, and about how they're moving away from. They've officially announced that they're moving away from Intel architecture, and they've announced OS 11. This is in 20 years it's been OS 10, and now it's officially OS 11, and they're moving completely away from Intel architecture into their ARM architecture, and they're developing their own silicon. That is what's in iPhones and all that, iPhones and iPads. Yeah.
Does this mean they can charge even more for it?
I wondered that.
Does this mean that when it's released, my phone will drain battery 20% faster?
Perhaps. Does this mean they can finally build their own USB-C cables, or are they going to create like USB-D or something just to troll with us?
When they switched from IBM architecture, from the PowerPC architecture to Intel architecture, it was a mess. Like they did it as smooth as they can, but it was a mess. Like a lot of stuff just didn't work anymore. They had this thing to recompile, and they're doing it again too. They're like, "Oh, choose your compilation. Go to Intel or ARM." And it's like, yeah, right. That's not going to work. That.
Yeah,
no,
you're not going to want to be an early adopter on this. I'll tell you that right now.
No,
no. If you were thinking you need a Mac for production work for the next 3 or 4 years, buy it right now.
Because buy a PC. Better.
This is a big. So they just announced, or it was like last year they did the new Mac Pro, right? The cheese grater, the 30 some odd $1,000 cheese grater that has Intel server architecture, and now
you don't have to spend $30,000 on it.
Well, if you want to kit it out, and now they're moving away from Intel architecture completely with their software. They're updating the operating system to.
Yeah, but that doesn't make your computer less value. Like I just built a Hackintosh here, and I use it mainly for Final Cut Pro, as well as a couple of other Mac specific programs that I really like, as well as web browsing because I actually like web browsing on there too. And there's nothing about this announcement that says this computer is going to be worth less in a year from now. It's still going to it's still going to perform exactly the same as it does now. It still renders videos faster than any other computer in my house. It's still,
When are your updates getting cut though?
What do I need updates for?
Things change in the future.
I literally don't update Windows unless I absolutely have to because I'm terrified that something's going to break.
You heard it here first. Briar is a prime target for security holes. Just jump right into his computer.
Come on in.
Just get the whole list. He has them all available.
Can
all
you
the security
fix the
holes.
USB audio while you're in there?
Please do.
I keep my Windows computer updated all the time. I've never had an issue with it.
I buy Windows. You don't ever have an issue with it? I'm shocked.
Yeah, for the
I
past
have less
3
issues
years.
with it than I used to, but between OBS, Windows updates, and audio drivers, it's like every time I update one of those 3 things, something's gonna break. Less over the last year or so, but man, I do miss having a Mac as a main production machine.
Fair. I find the kind of telling factor is if it's one of the quick updates, it's fine. But if it's one of those mandatory ones where the pop-up comes up, it's like you need to install this. I'm like, okay, now we're in for a wild ride. Which for me normally is just like, oh, I need to resync my voice meter things because it's just jumbled them up again and like audio doesn't work 5 minutes. Luckily, that's generally speaking the only problem I ever have. So yeah, but
the worst it's ever been, I've had to buy new hardware. I used to use Focusrite audio.
Those drivers
called DACs.
Those drivers were bad.
I used to use Focusrite, and after a certain Windows update, every hour or so, my voice would turn into like a robot voice. So I had to just go out and spend a couple $100 on a new audio.
First generation of Scarlett interfaces for Focusrite were bad. The
second generation. That was the second generation.
Oh, that was second gen? Interesting.
Yeah,
the first generation had that problem too. I ended up moving to Steinberg, and Steinberg has better driver support. See, a lot of the times, you can blame this on Windows, but it's really the companies that don't support their drivers correctly.
Yep.
Like that's the biggest thing.
It was working before the update, though.
Yeah. Well, I
hear you, but it was working, and then I did an update, and then I spent a week fixing it.
Ever since I moved to Steinberg, I've never had an issue with my audio drivers. Not once in like 3 years. 3 years now. Yeah. Yeah.
I pay extra for Windows 10 Pro so that I can tell it not to update until I allow it to.
Nice.
I literally give
I
give Microsoft more money to reduce functionality of their.
Oh man. So back to the OS 11 and the news coming out of Apple.
Oh, yeah.
This is very fascinating because this is huge changes. This is an architecture switch up. They're also basically merging their iOS like system with the Mac OS system, and it's going to look very similar. And it's looking like the Pro apps are eventually going to be on iPad as well. Like this isn't 100% confirmed, but they've changed the icons and made them all look like they're going to be. I mean, if they run on ARM, they're running on the same architecture. The iPad Pro is essentially ARM, so it's just a few connections, and you can already use a mouse and a keyboard with the iPad now, as of one of the recent updates.
The cool thing about this is that the reason for this is that Intel has been extremely stagnant for like 10 years. Like the amount of growth, the speed increases, the increase in power has been just absolutely glacial, and also the power required to run Intel processors is enormous, right? So out of this change, what we can hope for, or what we can expect from Apple computers, is the laptops are going to have much better battery life, and possibly be faster.
Yep.
Which that's a great upgrade, right?
Yeah.
If they merge the software between their mobile OS and their computer OS, then those apps could be interoperable. So like you could be using Final Cut to edit videos and just move. They already have like that file sharing program that I can't remember what it's called, where
AirDrop.
If I'm working on AirDrop, I'm working on something, it's literally just like on my computer, like immediately off my phone. Like that, all that stuff is the reason I fell in love with, the Macs in the first place. The only reason I got away from Mac is because of really streaming. Like I wanted to play video games on a computer, and OBS works so much better on a PC than it does on Mac, that it just like forced me into the PC world, kicking and screaming.
I got away from Macs because of the proprietary hardware, and this is moving even further into proprietary hardware. So it's even more of a nail in a coffin for me to never buy a Mac again. But I do like the iOS system. I like that. I like the iPad. I have the iPad Pro. I think it's great. the 2018, and I actually tried LumaFusion for 4K videos on there, and it does an amazing job of being able to edit 4K videos. I mean, amazing job, better than most basically MacBook Pros that you can buy right now. It can scrub and edit 4K footage better. So that ARM technology is very powerful, and if they do have stuff that ends up being swapping back and forth, I'm going to be curious about that. But this definitely wouldn't make me want to buy a new MacBook Pro or anything like that from the ARM architecture.
Oh, it does for me. Absolutely. Yeah. Like having all day battery life with better speed. You know, I like Mac OS better than I like Windows OS. I feel like it's more stable. Like I leave a Mac running for a month at a time and never reboot it. My Windows computers, you know, a couple of days and they start running into some issues.
You should update
especially
them.
Older Windows. Windows. Well, that's the other thing about Windows computers. Like the longer you have a Windows computer, like the slower it gets because of Windows rot. You know, like
yeah. You should update your operating system, Briar.
I do. I was making a joke before. I do update them, but I don't like to. It's like a risk every time you do it. Same with OBS. OBS has gotten a lot better, but OBS used to be like risky click of the day is update on OBS.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But recently, it's not been that bad.
Yeah, they've ironed out a lot of kinks. Yeah, the Windows rot. That's funny.
Windows rot is a real thing.
It is. Yeah,
like your computer literally gets slower as it goes.
The registry
as it goes on. Yeah, the registry is archaic. That thing's been around since Windows 95.
Yep. So yeah, interesting news all around today.
What a day!
Yeah, what a day.
Definitely.
What a day. I guess that's SideQuest, right?
I think so. SideQuest complete.
Bring.
Bling.
There we go.
There was
Awesome.
a great side quest.
Yeah, that was.
I can't believe that. Gosh, the sense is on this side quest across the world. But Jesus Christ.
Yes, what?
Oh, barely.
No, all I got was the stupid T-shirt.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for tuning in and listening to DCP SideQuest episode number 53. If you're watching live or on YouTube or on our podcast syndication places, thank you very much. We really appreciate all the support. Shout out to our Twitch subs and our Patreon members who help make this show happen. We really do appreciate all that, guys. And yeah, if you want to find more of me, you can talk to me at Teft on Twitter. And you can catch my streams, twitch.tv/TeftyTeft, and YouTube stuff with music. Just search Tefty Memes.
I am Miss 5000 Watts. You can find me at Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Just look for Miss 5000 Watts. And thank you guys for being an awesome community. You are an example of what gaming community should be.
Yep.
Thanks.
For
guys.
real.
Yeah.
Definitely. 100%. You can find me over on Twitter and YouTube at Arix or Arix Gaming, where this week we'll be speaking about. Where is it this week? Can't remember. There's stuff happening this week. There's
20 seconds.
There's games.
Star Wars in spaceships.
Star Wars. Yeah.
Star Wars.
That's it.
Star Wars in space.
Is that a working
Star
title or
Wars.
is that official? Because I think we need to work on it still.
The official
Star
one
Wars
is The Rise of Jar Jar Binks. The Jar Jar Binks saga.
Jar Jar builds a big laser.
6 movies of Jar Jar Binks.
People don't invite Eric's to EA events anymore because he's just like, when's the Jar Jar Star Wars game?
It's true.
Is Jar Jar playable?
Yep.
Oh my god.
I'm Brian Rabbit. You can find me playing Dreamcast games, gorgeous 1280 by 1024
Damn.
on a 4K display. I got to tell you, it looks stupendous. I figured out how to capture it, so I'm going to be sharing some of that footage because it is, holy smokes, you can't believe how good Dreamcast looks still.
Nice.
20 years later. Like, it's outstanding.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So look forward to that.
Well, that's the show, guys. Thank you very much for watching.
Nice.
We'll
Thanks,
see
everybody.
you. We'll see you for DCP Live on Thursday and next week for a side quest. GG's, everyone.
That's right.
Stay
Have a
safe
good
out
week.
there.
Don't be an asshole.
Yep. Don't be an ass. Stay safe. Call out assholes too. Bye, guys.